In this tutorial, we'll look at importing media into Mamba. Once we've loaded our project or created a new one, we can just go to the Import tab. We're then faced with the directories from our system, so we can just navigate to find where the files are that we want to import. Clicking the arrows will open the subfolders. A good tip is if you double-click on a particular location, apart from making the display a bit clearer, it also adds a shortcut link into here, so it makes it easier to get at for the rest of your session. We can browse the contents of folders, and if we click on any particular file, we're able to look through to see what its contents is. This is a good way of testing that the material you want to work with is compatible with Mamba. Mamba takes most movie and image codecs, but if you're unable to preview your chosen file this way, then you found a file format that Mamba doesn't like, in which case you'll just need to convert it externally. Where we have an image sequence, we can pick any random file in the sequence, and Mamba will know it's an image sequence so long as there's a sequential number in the file name. The phrase import for Mamba is a bit of a misnomer. It doesn't actually import anything, insofar as it doesn't make a copy of the media or move the media or try to transcode the media. Rather, what it will do is it will assemble a list of links to the location for that media. That gives us two benefits. Firstly, it means we can get working really quickly because we're not waiting for a transcode, and then the transcode isn't going to ruin our day if someone's done it with the wrong timecode, etc. The other benefit, and we'll see it more in the media browser tutorial, is that we can arrange those lists of links to media without actually moving the original media. So if we're in a shared environment where many other people, perhaps on Mamba, perhaps on Mistika, perhaps on anything else, are also looking at the same media, then we don't make ourselves unpopular by moving things around. That said, we also have to consider the location of this media. If this is on a detachable drive, then as soon as that drive is pulled out, needless to say, we won't be able to see the media anymore. Also, the speed at which Mamba can work is going to be restricted to how fast it can get at the files from the disk or across the network. So with those two thoughts in mind, you might want to ensure that your media is in a sensible place to begin with. So to bring some media into a project, if we want a single movie, it's just a case of double-clicking the file, in which case Mamba will launch some dialog to ask us to create a link to that media. By default, the name it will pick will be the name of the file, and if it's a movie sequence, I can choose to link it with progressive or interlaced attributes. By default, the link it creates will go into the data folder of our project, although actually we can create new directories and organize our media how we like. But for the time being, I'll just hit link as progressive sequence. So you can see that our clip is now ready for work on our desktop. Importing image sequences is much the same. We can just click on any file in a sequence, and again, it'll offer us the opportunity to give that sequence a name. By default, it'll be the name of the file. But for image sequences, we have an additional option in that we could say, actually, we only want that one frame. We don't want the whole sequence. Alternatively, we can link to the sequence as an interlaced or progressive sequence, and then Mamba will make a sequence out of every sequentially numbered file. If we have many things to import, there are also some quick tools to bring entire directory trees into our project. So for example, if I just selected the movies folder, I could ask Mamba to find all the movies in that folder and indeed in any subfolder. Before I do that, we'll just quickly look at the import all setup. What this allows us to do is, when we press the import all movies, there are some things we can preset as to how those movies are going to get arranged in our project. So for example, when it builds the name of the movies that it's imported, we can choose whether the actual folder structure it came from becomes part of the name, which can sometimes be useful. If rushes are perhaps in the day 1 folder or day 2 folder or day 3 folder, you might want to keep that within the naming structure. The same goes for the tape name, so you can preserve attributes for later conforming. You can also choose that when you mass import from folders, whether within your project you replicate the folder tree they come from, or whether actually all resulting links just end up in one folder. So with that pressed, I'm just going to hit import all movies, and you can see very quickly Mamba accesses those movies. You'll note that under the mass import, they don't come straight to our desktop. Instead, we'll find them in whichever folder we said, which was data in our case, and under the folder structure that we mentioned. So here are now all those files ready to be brought up onto the nodes display. So we have import all movies for movie files and import all sequences for image sequences